Cẩm Thu xin chào mừng quý vị và các bạn quay trở lại với phần 2 của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh truyền hình FBNC, phỏng vấn ông Andrew Olenik, giám đốc điều hành công ty Timhome Việt Nam. Chúng tôi xin phép được tiếp tục cuộc trò chuyện với vị khách mời này nhé. In Ho Chi Minh City and other major cities, we are experiencing a bubble in real estate market. The supply clearly outweighs the demand. And also, we see a lot of new and unsold homes, apartments, also ubiquitous construction sites. It's clear that the real estate is currently overpriced. What is your view regarding the bubble status of the domestic real estate market?
Well, I think bubble is a very big word, and it's a very scary word. Let's not forget that the Vietnamese real estate market is relatively small. So for any market this size and of this age, it is absolutely normal to go through cycles of up and down before it reaches maturity. Is there a lot of supply out there? Yes, it is. Is there very aggressive marketing to push that supply? Are there concerns of demand? Yes, it is. But again, it's just a normal phase before the suppliers adapt their price. My focus is more on, what can we do to avoid bubbles and fluctuations? We can't. What we can influence is how often do they happen and how big these fluctuations are. So in order to solve that situation, you have to create an entity somewhere where supply and demand could meet. Right. And developers would get information about the demand in advance. And then people would get information in a trustworthy and transparent format of what are the real prices, which properties are popular, which are not, which is exactly what we're trying to build. A place where people can post their properties. We check the information, and then we connect them with thousands of buyers every day. You see the supply, you see the demand, and it should match on price.
So you claim that the buyers or consumers do not have any trustworthy source of information, and that lack of transparency adversely affects the market efficiency. However, it could also be argued that the variables and benchmarks used in your pricing may be incorrect. What would you say?
I think there's no question about the fact that people are lacking transparent information about the real estate market. How we studied the Vietnamese people, how they make real estate decisions, it's actually most of them turn to their friends or relatives. But we have to acknowledge that those friends or relatives, they're not real estate experts. So rarely can they give us a well-informed decision. They can give us an opinion. And then people go online and they start searching about the 1,000 websites, which are mostly posted by people, right? And the same on real estate portals. They're being paid to show advertising. So there's not really much help in making a well-informed decision, right? And regarding, so our goal is, again, to put a place where supply and demand meet and forms a right price. Now, can I set that price? No, I can't. If you bring your property to Timhome, I cannot tell you that your price is too high. But what I can do is I can show you that at this price you are not getting customers. I can give you information that similar properties, in a similar area with a similar size, but in a different price, they're getting 10-20% more customer requests. So I can help you get to a point where you understand what is the real market price at this real moment right now of your property, and by that way I can balance the market. So I can't dictate the price, but I can help the market balance itself.
So if you yourselves do not have an impact on the price, then what is to stop the sellers from remaining at their current overpriced levels and feeding this through your program?
That's okay. If we allow anybody to post their property on Timhome, but when you do that, you get through an evaluation process when we estimate how good that property is, how much information you've given us, how full that information is. And also in the future, we will be adding a price estimation mechanism to tell you whether you're posting over market or below market to help you with the decision. But you're absolutely free to post it as high price as you want to, but you're running the risk that it's not going to be sold, because how we're presenting to the buyers results is not random. If you search for a property on Timhome, it's not going to be show up based on price. It's going to be shown on the first properties which you're going to see are the ones which we believe are the best offers. Just like in Google. On the top of the list, you'll see what Google believes is the right choice for you. Of course, the more information you give us about yourself, the better we can do that analysis and give you more proper choices. But you can post anything, you're just risking that it's not going to show up in the top because we don't believe that's just a good offer and we don't want to show it to our customers.
Okay, I see. So in the so-called Western developed world, we are weathering the current global downturn by quantitative easing, printing money. In East Asia, however, the approach has been grown through construction, for example, real estate or infrastructure and so on. In addition to the government's policies, many foreign investors taking advantage of this situation, notably Japanese, Southern Korean, and also people from Singapore. So in your view, for how long could this unsustainable situation continue, or should be allowed to continue?
It's a very sensitive topic. FDIs into buying land and construction are always very sensitive and always raise a lot of emotions because it's a two-edged sword. On one hand, you really want foreign investments to come into the country, and you really want them to be put into something solid. On the other hand, we understand that those buyers have bigger buying power, so they will always outbid Vietnamese people. So the question is where to find the balance between the two, and the balancing factors are, banking policies and subsidies for local citizens to buy properties at lower prices. And I know that the Vietnamese government is doing a lot in both. Can there be done more? Always. Always citizens want more, faster. But I think there's a lot of work being done there. It's a good thing that foreign investments are coming in the long term. Now, how do we protect the average citizen of Vietnam to be able to afford property? That remains to be seen, and I think there's a lot of work being done there. But also don't forget that there's a lot of construction being needed here. Vietnam has a very low urbanization percentage, which means that as the GDP grows, and it's growing very fast, which is a very good result, people will move to the cities. And cities need to handle those amounts of people. So cities needs to go up. And that would be impossible without foreign investment. So, you have to balance the pluses and minuses of that. And, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for the government to find that balance.
I see. If you indeed bring a downward normalization of prices and increase efficiency, so what would be your strategy to conserve gains and also to protect your business from the angry vested interests?
Well, the strategy is simple. Keep everybody involved. Real estate is a very complex market, probably the most complex markets of all. It has brokers, it has developers, home buyers, home sellers, investors, the government, associations. So we try to be in conversation with everybody, and we are very happy to hear very good feedback. Everybody realizes that on long term, a marketplace like ours, which increases the transparency of the market, which helps buyers make right decision, right? Maybe in the short term it doesn't help them much actually, but in the long term it's a great thing. Because it allows them to lower marketing costs, it allows them to lower sales costs, it allows them to understand better what products need to be constructed in order to sell properly. So, coming to your question about price, if Timhome is successful, will prices come down? Maybe. It means that the market will balance itself, but we also have to remember that the higher price doesn't mean highest profits for developers. If we remove all the inefficiencies, that means it's possible to make bigger profits with people paying lower prices. That's what we're striving forward. Of course, that's a long-term vision of 5-10 years.
I see.
But that's our mission. That's how we see our goal.
I see. Thank you. Let's take a short break again, and we shall get back in a few minutes. Thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là phần 2 của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh truyền hình FBNC phỏng vấn ông Andrew Olenik là giám đốc điều hành của công ty Timhome Việt Nam. Chúng tôi xin phép được quay trở lại trong vòng ít phút nữa.